J.D. Salinger is probably my favorite problematic white man author, but he's dead. So recently, something really cool happened, and 1,000 people decided to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I have been making videos for about 6 months now, and I did a sort of like introduction to who I even am and things like that. Like in one of my first videos, I did the booktube newbie tag. A lot of people obviously have joined in the meantime, and I'm so happy that you're here. But I don't know if you like even know who I am. Like I just talk about books mostly in my videos. I don't think I really talk about my like personal stuff that much. But I thought that since there are more people here, and since you might be interested just to know who even is giving you these book recommendations, like where is she coming from, what does she do, who gives her the authority to have these opinions or whatever. Spoiler, no one gives me the authority, I give myself the authority. I thought it would be nice just to do like a cute Q&A video for the girls. I'll start with like the crash course intro stuff that you would normally do, like first day at university, first day at school. My name is Kara. I am 24 years old. I live in Cape Town in South Africa. I've lived here my whole life. Some of you also wanted to know what I studied at university. I only did an undergrad because I'm not really that interested in like academia. I feel like intellectualism is more sort of my stream. I liked it well enough, but I like learning independently more than studying in an institution. But I did double major in English literature and history, which are still two of the subjects that I read the most about by myself just in my free time because I like those topics. I work as an English teacher online, so I do all of my work from home, and I really like this arrangement because I hate having to get ready to leave the house every single day. I'm just not built for that. I have a lot of like sensory issues, especially to do with like clothes and stuff. I don't know, I think I've spoken about that before on this channel. So I am really glad that I don't have to like properly dress up every single day to go to work. I can just, make sure I look presentable for my students, and otherwise I can do whatever I want. Of course, there were lots of questions about reading and books. So someone asked, what are my favourite books? I've narrowed down my 3 favourite books of all time to Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, Wuthering by Emily Brontë, and The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. These are the 3 books I think I've read over the past 10 to 15 years that have truly just stuck by me the most. And I don't know if they're necessarily indicative of my taste, but they all have just struck a different chord in my soul, I suppose. And those are books that I would truly consider to be like 6-star books. Like if I had to break the book star ranking system, I would break it for those 3 books. Then someone also wanted to ask how I got into reading. I read a lot with my parents when I was very young. We've always had like thousands upon thousands of books in the house, and there were always bookshelves just overflowing with books. And my mum used to always take my sister and I to the library every single week where we check out a bunch of books as well. So I've just always been surrounded by books, and like an appreciation for books that was passed down to me from my parents. I didn't read for a couple of years, especially when I was like a teen, just because I think I was reading the wrong books for a long time. A lot of books that were really popular around the time when I was a teenager were like sci-fi, fantasy sort of books, and that's just not a genre that I gravitate towards in my adult life. I read a lot more now in my adult life than I did when I was in school, when I had a lot more free time. I think I've also spoken about this before, but the book that got me back into reading in my adult life was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And I read this with a group of friends that I made online during the pandemic, and we decided to start a little book club because a lot of people that had been like pretty voracious readers, and some of us were like, yeah, we're not so sure, but we kind of want to give it a try, and it's just, nice to do things with a group of people who you love. So we decided to read Rebecca for our book club, and I loved it so much, and I still love it. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's amazing. I've recommended it to literally every single person I know, and everyone who's read it on my recommendation has loved it. So take this as your recommendation to read Rebecca as well. Oh yeah, someone wanted to know how my taste has changed over the years. I guess I sort of alluded to it just now, that like I was used to read like fantasy sci-fi stuff that was popular for people in my age range. Now I mostly read like lit fic books, or I like non-fiction as well, like queer theory or feminism, or I suppose critical race theory is something that I find interesting as well, especially the intersectionality of all three of those things. I like poetry, especially Mary Oliver. Love Mary Oliver. Classics, I suppose Rebecca is a classic. Yeah, let's say classics written by women or Black authors, because I think those are just way better. I think they age better than ones written by white men. Some of the books by white men are good. I'll hand that to them, but I don't really love them that much. I think J.D. Salinger is probably my favorite problematic white man author, but he's dead, so I don't mind supporting his work. Someone wanted to know what book I would prescribe for everyone to read. Oh, I love this. I think for fiction would probably be like Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, just because I think it's something that everyone could find something to like connect to. There's such a fantastic cast of characters, and I think Anne's character as well is just so lovely to read about. I know a lot of people find her annoying, but I like it because I'm annoying, so it's really fun to have some representation in media. And I think the TV show that they made, like the 1985 one, but also the recent one, the Anne with an E one, is so brilliant. And I've made so many friends, like, based on that show from posting about it online. And everyone there is just, like, the loveliest people in the world. So I think there's just so much, like, the canon itself is so beautiful, but, like, the life of the fans that exists around it is also so precious and genuine. So it's really lovely to have that sort of community around a story. I just love that. That's one of my favorite parts of being a reader. I think Anne of Green Gables is a pretty solid one to recommend to everyone. Let's go for a non-fiction pick as well. I recently read a book called Ejaculate Responsibly by Gabrielle Blair, and I said on my Instagram that I would recommend everyone read it, and I stand by that for sure. It's an amazing book that's about how we should shift the burden of pregnancy prevention from people with vaginas to people with penises. I think it's an amazing book, amazing ways to argue for abortion and for pregnancy prevention. I loved it. It's an amazing non-fiction book. It's really short. You can read it quite quickly. But I think if I had to recommend one for absolutely everyone, I would recommend Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. This is about Ronan Farrow's investigative journalism journey, basically uncovering the details of the Harvey Weinstein case back in 2016. It's such a fascinating book. It's such a good look into like the world of investigative journalism, and I think the different ways in which it opens up conversations about feminism, but also intersectional feminism specifically, and how abuse manifests itself in different parts of society and how it is covered up. I just think it's one of the best non-fiction books that I've ever read. I literally couldn't put it down. Like, it's very heavy subject matter, obviously, because it's about people who have experienced sexual assault, but it is amazing. I think about it constantly. It's one of the best non-fiction books that I think has ever been published. Ooh, okay. So someone wanted to know a book that doesn't get enough hype and a book that is overhyped. I think a book that doesn't get enough hype is my favorite book that I read in 2024, which is a book called Juno Loves Legs by Karl, Geary. This is about two, like, impoverished delinquent teenagers growing up in Dublin in the 1980s. It is one of the most beautiful books that I have read in my entire life. I can't believe this didn't like win every single award, because it's just so good. I think about this book so much because it's such vivid writing. Like, I really struggle sometimes with visualizing what's happening in a book. I normally am just like swept away by like the feelings or the vibes or the characters, like dynamics and things like that. But this one felt so cinematic, and I really loved that because it had that element, but also these characters that felt so real and grounded and believable. It's like such a triumph that someone could write a book like that. I do think that one is severely underhyped. I think it deserves way more praise in the book community. And one book that I think is overpraised in the book community online is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I know this is a lot of people's favorite book, and I do see why. It's like sort of like that meta thing of people love this book for its vibes, but it also like critiques the vibes that it feeds off of, you know? So like I understand that people like that aspect of it. I just found it quite boring, to be honest. It's too slow for me. I think it's too long as well. Honestly, if it were 150 pages less, I think the story would have been a little bit tighter and I might have enjoyed it more. But, you know, maybe it's just not for me, because obviously a lot of people really love it. But I do think it's overhyped, and I think that could hugely be ascribed to the dark academia vibes of the book. I also had a question about how I feel about booktube or bookstagram, or like book communities online. I'm not on BookTok. I have downloaded TikTok, but I don't use TikTok as God intended. I use TikTok to have somewhere where my friends can send me TikTok, so they don't have to like send me links the whole time. I have no idea what's actually going on BookTok. That's a complete mystery to me. But I will say, I think that the book communities online in general, in my experience, have been quite positive. I think I just generally know who to follow, like who I like, whose content I enjoy, whose reviews I trust to align with my opinions about books and things like that. And so many people who I've met online have become like really, really good friends. I mean, even before I joined like book communities online, I've always been involved in like fandom culture online since I've like had access to the internet. It's not a new thing for me to interact with people online. It's really just an extension of something that I've enjoyed doing for like 10 plus years at this point. So it's really nice to be able to connect with more people. And I mean, on my YouTube at least, everyone who comments is so lovely and thoughtful and kind and intelligent and generous with their comments. I feel very lucky. I've never really truly experienced like something very negative to happen in an online space where I was involved. Oh, I love this question. Someone wanted to know who I enjoy following on the different book platforms. On YouTube, I have been following Carly for years, and I loved her YouTube videos about books when she was like a booktube channel mostly. I really miss her book videos, but I really love her yearly wrap-ups, and that's like what inspired me to do mine at the end of last year. I also love Lauren Louise, Big Book Lady. I love her videos. They like true prime time TV for me. Like if a video of hers goes live, I immediately go and make myself a cup of tea and I sit down and watch it. I just love her videos so much. Some people who I've become quite good friends with after I started posting were people like Cass and Sophie and Ray. I just love their videos and I love talking with them. They're such beautiful souls. It makes me so happy that through making this channel, I got to meet them online at least. And on Instagram, I have been following Leah LBH Reads for years. I love her reviews so much. And The Lost Library, Ula, again, love her reviews. Also, her posts are so beautiful. I also, Renata, This Bookish Thing, I recently started following her as well, like a couple of months ago, and every single time she posts a rec video, my TBR like grows by 10 books. Oh, Literary Fiction. Literary Fiction is the account's name. It's like a literary fiction meme account. I love them. I've been following them for years as well. They do a lot of like work as well for library funding and stuff in the US, which I love. So that's a really great account to follow if you're into litfic as well. They're really funny. I love them. Some people also wanted to know about like the other things that I love outside of books. I guess like I love watching movies sometimes. I'm not like a big like cinephile, but I do have like weekly movie nights with my parents. So that's always quite fun. I think I would say my favorite movie is Frances Ha, which has Greta Gerwig as like the main role. And I just love that movie so much. Actually, last year when I was rereading Conversations with Friends, my favorite book, I realized that she watches Frances Ha in the book. Like, there's a scene where she talks about something that happens in Frances Ha. She doesn't name the movie, but she talks about her dancing, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, my and Sally Rooney's brains were like, you know, which makes me very happy. I would say that's probably my favorite movie. I also really love Jojo Rabbit. I went to watch that in the cinemas like 5 times. Like, that was right before lockdown started in 2020. I went to watch it like 5 times, and I think the only reason why I didn't go more is because I literally was not allowed. It would be illegal for me to go and watch it again. TV shows. I mean, Normal People, the TV show. Like, I have to say that. I love Derry Girls because I have good taste. But allegedly. I loved Bad Sisters, which is another like Irish TV show about sisters trying to kill their other sister's abusive husband. So good. I loved it so much. I mentioned Anne with an E earlier. I'm gonna watch this back and be screaming at the screen. But I suppose like those are the main ones that I think about quite a lot and that I would like rewatch quite regularly. Someone also wanted to know why I started my YouTube channel and how I look back on the process of filming my first videos. I had been extremely excited about a job offer that I got, and the job offer fell through like very shortly before I was supposed to start working there. And I was so upset because I had worked so hard to like secure that job offer and to get that job, and I was so happy when I got the offer. But then they said, actually, no, it's not going to work, and that like was truly very painful. And I decided, well, nothing matters, so I'm just gonna put videos on the internet and see what happens. And it took me a couple of months to sort of get into the right headspace to be able to do that. But eventually I was just like, well, I might as well post something because there's never going to be a perfect time. So I did. And I've basically been posting every single week since that point. I wanted to do something creative that was like outside of my work, and I like writing in my free time anyway, but I also like visual mediums, but I'm not very good at like painting or drawing. So doing something with videos is like a nice in-between for me. I like talking about books. I prefer speaking book recommendations or reviews instead of writing them down, because I feel like it's less set in stone if I'm talking about them. It feels more like I'm having a conversation, which is kind of where my channel name comes from, I suppose. I mean, it's a reference to conversations with friends, but I do think I like the format of having a conversation about something rather than having like a very set in stone opinion about something. I don't like that. I don't like having opinions that feel unchangeable to me. And I guess the process of filming my first videos, the first vlog that I did over quite a long period of time, like 3 weeks, I want to say. Like, I had to like take some time to figure out how I wanted to film things. I know a little bit more about editing now, and I know a little bit more about what I like to film, like for vlogs and angles and stuff that work, but that's like more technical. Someone asked me, do I have a dream collab? I'm gonna assume this is not a collab that I'm participating in. I would love if like 2 authors could collaborate on something like a Sally Rooney, Elena Ferrante collab, but I don't know how that would work because they're writing different languages, and I mean, Elena Ferrante is it's just an idea, so it's probably never going to happen, but I would love to know what a book is like that they've sort of like collaborated on. Maybe we should finish the video with my unpopular opinions. I don't know if I have truly unpopular opinions, but like I suppose my main one that has to do with like books is that I don't get why people are so annoyed that Sally Rooney doesn't use quotation marks in her books. No one is holding a gun to your head and telling you to read Normal People. I don't understand why people harp on about that one so much. It really confuses me. In a like pop culture sort of sense, if you asked me this time last year, I would have said I wanted a Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams collab. But we know now what that looks like, and Us is not a good song. I'm really sorry if you like that song. I don't think it's good. I think it's a poor song from both Taylor and Gracie. It's one of the worst songs to me on The Secret of Us, and I wouldn't say it's like my favorite album. Good Riddance is like one of my favorite albums of all time. The Secret of Us is fine. I like some of the songs on the album, but Us is like truly bottom 3 for me. Another unpopular opinion of mine is I don't like the Hunger Games movies. Is that unpopular? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I don't like the movies. I think Catching Fire is the best movie of them all, but I think that is just because it's a spectacle sort of movie. You know what I mean? The other movies aren't like spectacle movies, so it's kind of like easier to make people impressed with the movie. I just don't think they're very good book to movie adaptations. It's kind of difficult for me to know if I have unpopular opinions or not, because most of the time I just let people rock. I don't really care what people's opinions are unless they're quite like harmful. But those are the like strong unpopular opinions I have. Alright, I guess that's pretty much everything from me for today. I really love making these videos online, so it's really cool to me that people enjoy watching them, and thank you so much for being here. Other than that, I will see you again next week for another video, and until then, take care.